Tonight we will move slowly through a very long story, not a dramatic one, not a loud one, but a quiet unfolding that began long before cities, long before language, long before memory. This is the story of how a certain kind of creature learned to stand, to wonder, and eventually to look back at its own beginnings. Imagine the earth, not as it is now, but as a shifting landscape of forests, oceans, and open plains, changing across immense stretches of time. Continents drift, climates warm and cool. Species appear and disappear like breaths in a long rhythm. In that vast rhythm, small mammals once lived cautiously beneath the dominance of far larger reptiles. They were not impressive by size or strength. They survived by subtlety, by warm blood, by attentive hearing, by the ability to move in darkness. When global conditions shifted and ecosystems opened, these small survivors found new spaces to inhabit. Forests spread, branches layered the sky, and in those branches, some mammals began adapting to life above the ground. Grasping hands, forward-facing eyes, depth perception, flexible shoulders. Life in the trees demanded balance and coordination. It rewarded awareness. To leap from one branch to another required precise judgment. To live among others required recognition. Friend or rival, parent or offspring. Over generations, nervous systems became more refined. Vision grew more dominant. Social signals became more nuanced. Intelligence, in its earliest forms, was not about building tools. It was about navigating relationships and space. Time continued. Forests expanded and contracted with climate cycles. Some primates remained small and nocturnal. Others ventured into daylight, where color vision became useful and social groups grew more complex. Living in groups changes the brain. It requires memory. Who shares? Who competes? Who protects? It requires prediction. What might happen next? The seeds of empathy and cooperation were planted long before our own species existed. Eventually, landscapes in parts of Africa began to transform. Dense forests thinned into mosaics of woodland and open grassland. Moving between food sources meant traveling farther on the ground. And somewhere within those shifting habitats, a remarkable experiment began. Walking upright. Not perfectly, not immediately, but gradually. Standing on two legs changes everything. The spine curves differently. The pelvis reshapes. The feet develop arches. The hands, no longer required for constant locomotion, become available to carry, to gather, to shape. Bipedalism was not an upgrade without cost. It introduced strain and vulnerability, but it also introduced possibility. Early upright walkers still climbed trees. Their bodies were transitional, part adapted to branches, part adapted to ground. Evolution rarely moves in straight lines. It layers new traits over old ones. Over long stretches of time, walking became more efficient. Strides lengthened, balance improved, and hands grew increasingly precise. With precision came the ability to modify objects deliberately. Stone struck against stone produces an edge. A sharp edge can cut. The first shaped stones were simple, but their implications were profound. To alter a rock intentionally is to imagine a future use. It is to hold an idea in the mind before it exists in the world. As tool use spread, diets changed. Access to nutrient-rich foods supported growing brains, and growing brains supported more complex cooperation. This feedback loop between nourishment, cognition, and culture became a defining feature of our lineage. Groups shared knowledge. Skills were observed and imitated. Learning extended beyond instinct. Childhood lengthened, allowing more time for teaching and absorption. Then came another transformation. To control fire is to control energy outside the body. It provides warmth against cold nights. It deters predators. It transforms food, making it softer, safer, and more digestible. Cooking reduces the work of chewing and digestion. Over generations, jaws and teeth changed. Energy once spent processing raw plants could support neural tissue. Fire also altered social life. Light extended the day. Gatherings around flames created space for communication. Gestures, sounds, perhaps early storytelling. In the glow of firelight, cooperation deepened. As populations moved across varied landscapes, bodies and behaviors adapted to new conditions. Some groups encountered colder climates and developed stockier builds to conserve heat. Others adapted to high altitudes, to deserts, to dense forests. At times, distinct human relatives shared the planet simultaneously. Different lineages experimented with similar challenges: hunting large animals, crafting tools, caring for injured companions. They were not failures. They were variations. Eventually, our own species emerged within a network of African populations, connected by migration and exchange. Modern anatomy appeared gradually. Cultural complexity accumulated step by step. Symbolic expression began to leave traces. Pigments used deliberately. Beads shaped from shells. Markings incised into surfaces. To create a symbol is to externalize thought. It allows ideas to travel beyond a single mind. As groups expanded outward into new continents, they carried with them language, memory, and imagination. They adapted not only biologically, but culturally, adjusting clothing, shelter, and hunting strategies to local environments. They crossed land bridges exposed by ice ages. They followed coastlines. They navigated by stars and currents. Human adaptability became less about physical specialization and more about shared knowledge. Culture began to evolve faster than genes. In caves and on rock walls, images appeared. Animals in motion, handprints, abstract shapes. These were not mere decorations. They communicated across time. Burials grew more intentional. Objects were placed with the deceased. Ritual suggested reflection. For tens of thousands of years, most humans lived as foragers, small groups moving seasonally, maintaining flexible social structures. Contrary to common assumptions, this way of life sustained our species for the vast majority of its existence. Then, in several regions independently, people began cultivating plants and domesticating animals. Agriculture emerged gradually. Seeds were planted intentionally. Animals were managed and bred. Surpluses accumulated. Permanent settlements formed. Settlements altered social dynamics. Population density increased. Labor diversified. Some individuals specialized in toolmaking, construction, or ritual leadership. With stored food came planning. With planning came hierarchy. Writing systems developed as methods of record keeping, tracking harvests, exchanges, obligations. Over time, writing became a vehicle for stories, laws, and philosophical reflection. Cities rose near rivers where irrigation was possible. Monumental architecture appeared. Calendars measured seasons. Mathematics described patterns. Human evolution, once primarily biological, became increasingly cultural. Ideas could now persist across generations without relying solely on memory. Knowledge accumulated more rapidly. In different regions, thinkers began examining nature through observation and reasoning. Questions about the cosmos, ethics, and existence emerged in parallel across continents. Our species, once focused primarily on survival, is now devoted to abstraction. Yet beneath the layers of civilization, our physiology remained ancient. Our stress responses still activate as if danger might appear from the grasslands. Our sleep cycles still align with light and darkness. Our cravings reflect ancestral scarcity. The modern environment, illuminated, accelerated, interconnected, often moves faster than our biology was designed to process. And so we find ourselves in a curious position. Technologically advanced, yet carrying nervous systems shaped by deep time. Evolution has not stopped. It has shifted domains. Cultural change now outpaces genetic change. Medicine alters survival patterns. Technology reshapes communication. we modify landscapes and climates. For the first time, our species consciously influences its own evolutionary pressures. If the entire history of our lineage were compressed into a single day, agriculture would appear in the final minutes, industrialization in the final seconds. And yet those seconds have transformed ecosystems globally. This realization can feel overwhelming, but it can also inspire humility. We are not separate from nature. We are an expression of it. The same processes that shaped early primates, adaptation, cooperation, experimentation, continue within us. As you rest now, consider that your body carries echoes of forests and savannas. Your spine reflects the long shift to upright walking. Your hands embody millions of years of refinement. Your brain, with its capacity for memory and imagination, is the product of countless shared efforts. Caregivers protecting children, groups sharing food, individuals teaching skills. You are part of an unbroken chain stretching back beyond language, beyond mammals, beyond even the first cells. Each breath connects you to that continuity. The story of human evolution is not a tale of superiority. It is a story of resilience and adaptation, of collaboration, of gradual change layered upon gradual change. We learn to stand, to shape stone, to tend fire, to plant seeds, to write symbols, to ask questions, and now to reflect quietly on all of it. As you drift closer to sleep, allow this perspective to settle gently. You are not an isolated moment. You are a continuation. In your cells, there is an ancient chemistry. In your thoughts is accumulated culture. In your heartbeat is a rhythm older than memory. The same evolutionary processes that carried life through shifting climates and changing landscapes carry you now into rest. There is no urgency here, only continuity. And as consciousness softens and the day releases its grip, you can rest knowing that you belong to a story vast and ongoing. A story still unfolding. Sleep peacefully within it.